How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
It's Michael Radcliffe. Good to see
Hello.
you.
It's good to see you too.
So do you think going okay? Young people's.
Do I think what?
The young people division still surviving?
Today.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Today it is.
The budgets. Well, Doug's been enjoying himself here.
Yeah. Has Doug been enjoying himself?
There's Bishop Brown. Western Jurisdiction. Just gathered this morning. The Western Jurisdiction delegates gather every morning at 7 o'clock. They don't get to bed until midnight. And we're back here talking about different issues and options. First, I'd like to run these meetings.
I'm Lanny from the Northwest Texas Conference.
So Coonley, I know you just tried there in the what's this thing called General Administration Committee to try to get the Western District a little bit more representation back on what's going to be called the connectional table now, right? They went back to.
No, we haven't gotten to the connectional table yet. We just did the general agencies.
And that's so all the general agencies would be made up this way.
But regardless of what segment of the church we're talking about, the West has to be represented because the West has values that are very dear to us that the church needs to hear. Now, what we do after hearing that is a different issue. However, those voices have to be heard. What I lifted up is there are two values that have to be dealt with. The first value is representation. So you can have voices at the table across the connection. And the second value would be proportionality. We can't do it by one and not the other. It has to be a combination of that. That's what I tried to do this week.
Yeah, and so right now, though, the Western Jurisdiction would only have one person on each general board or agency.
That is correct.
However they're configured.
Well, that is correct, because the proportionality doesn't work for us because we're not large enough to be made up with the rest of the numbers.
Yeah.
So
okay.
It's a shame that that's the way it's working out, but that's just one battle. You know, we still have the war.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's still not done. Well, thanks for what you tried to do. So, UMW gathering. There are never proposed changes to the UMW. People from the women's division are talking. Probably can't see in the background. We're about to have some dragon boat races here. This is where the delegates eat every day. Their food. We're still doing legislative committees. This is Saturday morning. A lot of activity. I've been sitting in as they talk about the structure of the Anti-Methodist Church. Plan B was adopted, but the MSFA just had part of their original proposal added back in. Some of the CTA members who had their proposal has been less than accepted at this moment. They've been greatly involved. The implication, though, of this would be that there would be only one person from the Western Jurisdiction on each of the general boards and agencies going forward. So we'll be losing a lot of our representation in the general boards and agencies. Another little scary one this morning, too, is that bishops would be allocated proportionally. It would be based on how much a jurisdiction could afford. That would mean that the Western Jurisdiction would end up with 2.5 bishops. So that's one that a lot of people are keeping an eye on.
So I'm a greeter, and I actually, welcome people. And also, if they have questions, I got a little briefing on where all the activities are and where you can go get coffee, most importantly.
Great.
And I have learned by several questions about the place and where to go get money and other items, and just say hello and welcome to Tampa, Florida.
So are you like from a church here in Florida then?
Yes, I am. I'm from across the bay. Tampa Bay, and United Methodist Church.
Great.
And they requested volunteers, sent out flyers and so forth. You just go online and you volunteer for a slot, pick your times and what you want to do. So they have different things. You can greet folks, you can meet them at the airport, you can host somebody in your house. There was all different things you can,
That's good.
You can help with.
So have we been hospitable back to you all, or
Absolutely.
doing pretty good?
Absolutely. It's been an interesting experience. I have not been called my name so much in the past month as I have today. It's pretty nice. So people are very friendly.
That's great.
Very nice.
Well, we thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
This is Saturday, and one of the events that's going to happen today will be an immigration rally. People are getting ready for that.
In Florida City, in the United States. But more than
Here's Bishop Elaine participating in the immigration rally.
Betty and Eddie, they can move. Their church was not. There are many of us here today. We might not be able to write policy and legislation that affects populations of people, but we do have eyes to see and ears to hear and mouths to say no. Can everyone say that with me? No. That machine driving the privatization of prisons is the anti-immigration laws in Alabama, Arizona, and Georgia. These laws create the occupancy rate that keeps the prisons full and the money flowing. As Christians, as United Methodists, one way we can act concretely is to say no. No to SB 1070. No to secure communities. No to CCA. No to Geo Group. In 2011, United Methodist in Florida said no to the anti-immigration laws they were trying to pass. And our no was heard. We have a voice.
So one of the things at General Conference is a lot of people here that are passionate about their positions and beliefs. And so I've noticed you've been carrying these signs around today. I just wonder if you could just tell me a little bit about what the sign is and what you're sharing.
The sign alludes to the incompatibility clause in the discipline, which we would like. Which we would like that language removed, and so that all of our children, who are children of God, can be fully accepted and have equal rights in the United Methodist Church.
Hey, Deanna, how are you?
I'm well.
So we were just talking about the fact that you were talking with a Central Conference delegate.
Yes.
And I was just wondering if you might share with folks back at home, some of his concerns and a couple things that you had discovered by talking with him.
Okay. It was a really interesting conversation. He initiated it, and as I figured out over time, he had a particular interest in his country that he wanted us to support in partnership. But he was also really interested in not being partners, but being more self-sufficient in their own growth. So in that context, we talked about how we come from different perspectives to this, and that we all have assumptions about each other's conference. And he said to me, he said, we do look at it differently, but the thing that's important to me is that we think about equity in all things that we do. And that really meant something to me. And we talked about sending emails. And as I said, he would like support from something that he's doing, but also would like us to be in partnership in ways that allow us both to grow. So it was a great conversation. We talked for a long time, we took pictures, and it was good. It's all good.
And that's fascinating. I was in the general administration discussion this morning about the structure of the United Methodist Church. And one of the members brought up, in fact, I won't say who it was. One of the members brought up the fact that, but still 90% of the budget for the United Methodist Church will come from the, Western, will come from the jurisdictional part of the church. Like in the global nature of the church, we're going to have the jurisdictional churches, which will be, the traditional United States ones, and then we'll have the Central Conference anyway. So 90% of the budget would be supported by those. And so they were talking about proportionality of, in terms of contribution. But it was similar. They were trying to point out. In fact, they even used the terms like we need to get away from the the United States being the parent and somehow the central conferences are the child.
Right.
So you sort of hear him saying that he'd like to see some changes too. And
Absolutely. In fact, I told him that when I came to this, I've always looked at the ministry in Africa as a mission, and it's been so interesting for me to look as equal partners. How are we partners together? And I had to kind of change my worldview as well as he. I did say something about the structural stuff without really meaning to. I talked about how I was aware and had received some feedback from someone who works all over the world working with torture victims, who had said to me, "Oh, you're United Methodist? They are every place in the world doing such good stuff." And I shared that story with him and told him that as we talk about restructuring the church and where the money goes, I know that folks want more money going to specific conferences or local churches, but I don't want to forget the incredible difference that we make in the world. And I don't want that to go away. I don't know that most people know how much of a difference we make in the world.
Right.
But as we learn, we've got to figure out how to hold on to that.
That's great. Thank you.
Anytime.